Adam Levine obviously had a major role in bringing you two together. How did that come about?
I just finished my HSC. She was a divorcee living in the Hollywood Hills. At that point, I looked at her as like out of my league. So when we finally went on a date 10 years later, I was not feeling just confident. And Adam Levine's there and I was like, yeah, I've started dating this older, sophisticated woman and I'm a little bit intimidated. And he just looked at me and he grabbed both my shoulders. He was like, "You've got this, brother."
You've been making music in the 90s. You were the 90s it girl. How has your perspective on privacy and fame changed from back then to now?
Yeah, it's just such a different time, like now more than ever. I definitely wasn't hounded, it was just like if I went on a red carpet, they would take a picture, but it wasn't, I don't know. I guess it just always depends on how famous you are though.
Yeah, and there was back then it was interesting because on one hand, in the mainstream, when I think about the bands that I loved, like say Motley Crue or Bon Jovi, they were like royalty. I would never even think I could have an interaction with them. I used to have daydreams of if I met Motley Crue, what I would say, and now fans and stan culture and all that, they almost expect interactions.
What would you say? What do you think your fantasy was that you were going to say?
What did you want to say? Let's live it out. Let's go.
It would be
Pretend we're Bon Jovi.
All right.
Okay,
I can go
go.
there. I'm going to transport myself back.
Today's guests have both carved out careers completely on their own terms in very different worlds. First up, she's an actress, author, and 90s icon, known for her roles in Say Anything, River's Edge, and for being a part of Hollywood long before she could legally drive.
And he's a musician, activist, and self-proclaimed professional weirdo with a career that soundtracked our youth thanks to songs like Catch My Disease and We're All in This Together. Plus, he's picked up 4 ARIA awards and more than a few headlining grabbing moments.
Together, they're partners, parents, and co-hosts of Weirder Together, a podcast about creativity, eccentricity, and connection. Ben Lee and Ione Skye, welcome to the show.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Are we Castanos now?
Yeah,
you are. You're
okay.
a part of
you get to be one when you come here, right?
Look, we're part of the Curious family, right?
Yes.
So we are family, essentially. So you are Castanos today. Let's just pretend.
Yay!
So we want to get straight to the juicy stuff, okay? Adam Levine obviously had a major role in bringing you two together. How did that come about? Tell us your story.
Ben
so we
this
want
one, so
your...
I'm intrigued.
Well, honestly, what happened was me and Ione went on a couple dates. Mm-hmm. And to understand this, we'd met 10 years before we went on a date when I was 18 and she was 26, right?
Okay.
So I just finished my HSC. She was a divorcee living in the Hollywood Hills with her sexy bohemian friends. And so at that point, I looked at her as out of my league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was aspirational lifestyle. So when we finally went on a date 10 years later, I still felt a bit intimidated. Even though I was 28 and I felt more of a man by that point, you go back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel almost regress. Mm. So I was not feeling just confident. I felt just nervous, insecure. Mm. And then, so we were going to meet and we were meeting at 9 or 10 or something. And then I was I'm going to stop in at the Sunset Marquee and have a drink. And Adam Levine's there and, we go back a little bit. And I was I've started dating this older, sophisticated woman, and I'm a little bit intimidated. And he just looked at me and he grabbed both my shoulders. He was like, "You've got this, brother. You can do this." And he got a couple shots of whiskey, put it down, and we did. And it was just very silly macho moment, but I actually did. I showed up and
Yeah, it was very different. I described it, our first makeouts were like, you know, when you go to a lake and you have a really pleasant time.
Oh, yeah.
It's really lovely. And
that's
you're
not
like,
what a man wants to hear.
It was lovely. It was lovely, but not, you know. But then after that night, I was like, "What's gotten into you?" And
Adam Levine is like human testosterone.
yeah,
Right. He
it was
breathed
just
that
like-
confidence.
He
into
breathed
you.
it into my lungs
Yeah.
and into my loins.
He was like, "You got this."
Yeah, I know that's so funny.
There's your clip.
yeah, we got it.
How does that make you feel? I guess like when your partner talks about that date, like for me, like if Amy was describing our date like that for me, you know, I feel great and I feel good. You know, like does he make you? Yeah.
Oh, the day at the park, the day at the lake.
Yeah.
Well, because we were friends, I think I would never want to like insult someone's makeout style or I would never ever do. I would never want that at me, and I would never do it. But it was very mutual because we were friends and we were almost like experimenting because we were kind of friends for 10 years, so it was sort of like. I don't know.
Yeah, you're curious. Like, is there
you
going to
know,
be chemistry or not?
So,
You
but
know,
if we would just met and it was just a date out of nowhere, you know, I would never. I don't know. I think because we're on the same page that we were, and also it's gone so well ever since then, and it was not bad before. It was just like we were like experimenting. Can two friends become actually romantic? And the truth is yes.
And also like the aspect of when you know somebody and when you're friends and you have just that type of respectful thing, the shift into being sexually intimate and opening yourself up and revealing that side of yourself is like a little bit almost more scary than if you don't have a friendship connection first.
For sure.
Because you're showing a side of your personality that like, you're like, okay, I guess I'm going to show you the real me now.
Well, we actually did the opposite.
Yeah.
We started obviously together and now we're not. So our dynamic has completely shifted into almost brother and sister like.
Wow.
So
Which is
going
strange.
from
It's a bit
it's
strange
so
when you say that,
strange.
yeah.
But I look at Jono as my family because we've known each other for that long.
So how long were you guys together for?
What was it? Let's count about what, 15 years?
Yeah, about
years?
15 years.
You were married?
No, we were
No, yeah.
together.
Together
and
for
then
15 years.
Married for 3.
That's cool, yeah.
About 3.
We're shocking. We don't even know.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Wow.
But
And then you were like, and then one of you was like, you know what? 2 things. I want out, but
Yeah.
secondly, let's start a podcast.
yeah, exactly that. As long as we got the
I love
podcast.
that idea. My stepfather's friends with like all of his exes, and they're really good friends. And I think that's so great because it's so hard to like lose that thing that you had with somebody. That
What do I want with my exes? I don't know.
Does
It's
he
like, I
go-
can't imagine wanting to like
find
hang
it
out with my
sad
exes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it is
Yeah,
sad, but
it
it's
is.
like, you know.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because we had so much history.
Yeah.
It's like, do we just throw that away? Or do we use that history with all the trust that we built in each other to be like, okay, well, we still want to be in each other's lives, but how do we flip this? Because we don't want to be together romantically.
And you were business partners.
Business partners as well.
And that was a huge thing to go
Massive.
like, what are we going to do with the business?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
and
big deal.
it's thriving. So that's why we were kind of like, well, we don't want to throw something away that we built that we put like blood, sweat, and tears into, and then be like, okay, well, it's done now.
That's so great.
I mean, I feel like if we got a divorce and
Tell
kept doing
us.
the pod,
Tell
if
us.
we kept doing the pod, it would be really good for our numbers.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we
But
should do
I
it for a
actually
year.
quite like being married to her. I don't know. Call me
Oh,
crazy.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So how long has it been? It's been 20.
I'm the one
odd
who's
years.
like, I have no idea. You're
Yeah.
better with numbers.
Well, our daughter's turning 16 this year, which means we've been married for 17 years, so together about 20.
Wow.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Tell us about the wedding in India.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us.
Yes. How did that come about? So you went on this spiritual journey and then decided India.
Well, basically, I was going there. I had a guru there, so I was going there all the time. And it just, when you're that hardcore into anything, like if you're a Smiths fan, you then want to like propose at the Morrissey concert. It's just like a natural.
Oh, I thought you were talking Smith's chips.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Smith's chips.
If you really love chicken salt, so I'm just saying, like, for me, it was like a natural thing to want to include that in.
Of course.
There's no
Like
more
that.
guru anymore.
There's
No.
But it was a
What
package deal
Right.
Okay.
back
Yeah.
then. It was a package deal,
Okay.
which was difficult.
And what was that day like? Like, did you do? Because we obviously
wedding
have,
was beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a 3-day thing, right?
Yeah, we did. They do the sort of an abbreviated.
But the night before, we
was,
took everyone to the orphanage.
Yeah, it was
did
3-day. Yeah, you do a service. We had a Hindu ceremony. But for sure, it was, I'm sure, abbreviated, not long.
But it was
great. And I'd already had a white wedding, my first marriage. So, because I'm like, old fashioned like that. So it's like, had I not had that big kind of white wedding thing, I would have been like, but it was amazing. And but it wasn't a easy town and a part of India. So I almost dissuaded people. I was just like, it's not like Jaipur or like this gorgeous, like it's a small town. It's rough kind of in a sense, like where you're staying. It's not glamorous. So I was telling people like, you don't have to go.
Yeah.
But Ben got a lot of, but the people who did come, it was very meaningful.
Yeah,
my family did come, but and a couple friends, but it was amazing.
But I don't know.
I looked fierce. I mean,
you did look amazing. All the henna and everything.
Yeah, of course.
But it's it's like when you are with someone for a long time, you go through like massive transitions in terms of who you are as a person. Like you think about what people's spiritual beliefs are, or their relationship to money, or how they feel politically, or like you have to weather a lot of change. And I think that's like part of having a successful marriage is just being willing to like take that journey with somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's been very patient with me.
Well, I mean, for me, it was nice that you left and like never, it wasn't an issue. So it was good.
Yeah. Did you get any backlash from anyone? Like, I don't know.
That's when the fun drama starts.
Yeah,
when people start leaving, then all those emails leaving, quote, cult emails are like...
Leaving a cult emails
are so fun.
One of the best literary trends.
Sometimes there'll be like a mass exodus for some reason.
Because people start talking and sharing information.
Down, classically, like the gurus, you'd find out they're, picking up the women or something. In this case, it wasn't exactly that, but... Then there's usually like, and then every day, like, got another one, and we're like opening it up and reading it, because they're very, not to make it light and funny, because it's people's lives, but
it's pretty funny.
And they're satisfying, because you're like, I know what you were saying, and then they know it too now, and I don't know.
Yeah, and all of those group dynamics, like you see this a lot in, whether it's just religions people grew up in communities, like whenever one person leaves, it stirs up like conversation, and people start talking in ways that they hadn't before. And it's when you see somebody question, you feel permission to question. So I think also like that's really everything. I don't know, the way I've always seen my role as like a musician and a public figure is like you go through these things, and on one level you go through it personally, but on the other there's a ripple effect of people witnessing your journey.
Yeah. I think that also like is relatable in business. Like when one staff member starts to have questions about like, the grass is greener over there, then obviously that trickles into everyone else as well.
It's obviously that first HR report.
It is, yeah.
And then the dam springs open.
But obviously you've been making music in the 90s. You were the 90s it girl. How has your perspective on, I guess, privacy and fame changed from back then to now?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I for sure, like Paris Hilton, paparazzi stuff, like it seemed if someone had something really exciting going on, then there would be like that thing around them. But, and definitely it's interesting, people being transparent and doing a lot of personal stuff online, like big celebrities. On one hand, it's sort of sad because it's nice to kind of have them just like in a magazine and like look up to them. But on the other hand, it's nice to feel like, oh, they're just people too. Like, posting themselves doing whatever, funny things. It's just such a different time. Like now more than ever, you see people's kind of, I mean, it's not their real lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely wasn't hounded, it was just like if I went on a red carpet, they would take a picture, but it wasn't, I don't know. It's sort of, I don't know. I guess it just always depends on how famous you are, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like, back then it was interesting because on one hand, in the mainstream, like when I think about the bands that I loved, like say Motley Crue or Bon Jovi, they were like royalty. Like I would never even think I could have an interaction with them. It would just, I used to have daydreams of if I met Motley Crue, what I would say, you know, and now fans and stan culture and all that, like they almost expect interactions. So there's just a very different relationship
What
between
would you
public people and
say?
their
What do you
audiences.
think your fantasy was that you
Yeah. What did you want to say? Let's live it out. Let's go.
Yeah.
It would be about
Pretend we're
you.
Bon
All
Jovi.
right. I
Okay,
can go
go.
there. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
There we
transform
go.
myself back. Nikki Sixx. I'm so glad you were brought back to life by that adrenaline shot to the heart after that overdose, where the fantastic work that came after that, Kickstart My Heart onwards. I really feel that life and death, near-death experience, it allowed you to just bring this well of creativity and raunchy metal to us in a way that I'm so grateful for. So, yeah, thank you. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, he'll be listening to this.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
no,
Yeah.
Nikki
No,
Sixx is
exactly.
a
Yeah.
big
So
fan.
he'll.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I was drawn in there. I was like,
I know.
say more. And so when obviously like in a relationship, how do you both maintain like your own brands? I think that's a tough one. You know, obviously you got your brand, you got your brand. How do you
Individuality.
Yeah, I know, because even picking out, I don't know if you have this, like picking out the font and the look, like we have very different tastes in some ways, but that kind of thing, just the look of things is something to negotiate, I guess, sometimes. But I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
You have more.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well,
To an extent.
This is what's kind of interesting with our dynamic is that I think very much our differences are a huge part of the brand we have together. So the goal of Weirder Together, both as a podcast but also as a production company, is that it has room for us to have our own projects that are separate to each other within it.
Yeah.
So like,
we
you know,
sort of negotiate, like he'll have a project, like
yeah, like I have like this animated thing that
Yeah.
I'm developing with someone else through the company, and Ione still has a voice in that, but it's not, you know, that's my project. And then maybe if she does something with the IP of her book, that'll be her project. But we try and just make the container big enough to hold both of us, because that's sort of the point of it.
Yeah,
like
I guess
that.
that's what we kind of do, even though we're not married, but we're brother and sister. I don't know, whatever this is. But yeah, I know. But yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of like, I always think with companies or with bands even, like, because bands have this a lot where they have like, they can have 4 people in it with quite different taste. And the ones that work best have created something that's stable enough to honor their individuality within it. And really that, you know, it is just a metaphor for relationships and marriage in general. That like, if the marriage itself didn't have room for us both to be individuals, it would probably be doomed, because you can't, like we do, we've adapted and changed together also and merged, and you end up like, you know, all that stuff where you look at each other, you're like, are we wearing the exact same outfit today? Like, you know, that stuff happens.
I mean,
Yeah. But ultimately you want something where both people feel seen and can express themselves.
No, for sure. Well, speaking of your memoir, very successful. How do you feel about, you know, being so open about your story and having it out there for everyone to read?
Mostly I feel really satisfied because I'm sort of hard to get to know. I'm kind of, you know, ethereal and sort of like poetic, and I don't know, and my sense of humor and it was satisfying, especially because it's well received. And so I'm like, yay, like every day I get a text like someone's so moved, or you know, and I like even like thinking of things I wrote, and I'm like, that was really clever and cool, you know. So that's all really fun when a project works out and is so well received. But for sure, it's been from writing it to having it, you know, come out. There's so much stuff that feels very vulnerable for me and other people. So that's been kind of yeah, very hard at times, like feeling vulnerable. But also I feel like it has to. I mean, a memoir kind of has to.
Yeah, of course.
I was amazed you never had like second thoughts though, you know, like in those moments of crisis where there were, you never went, should I not be doing, like you were very confident with your vision.
There's people I protected, believe it or not, even though I did say everything, the name of the memoir.
Yes.
I did actually tone some things down, believe it or not, to protect people, but and I combed over a lot, like sat with a lot of things, like, is this okay? And I pulled out certain things here and there. But yeah, I'm never, even I had one friend, an old friend, kind of get mad at me on behalf of someone else, this whole thing. And I'm still like, I do not regret 1 second writing it. I feel like I had every right to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What has it been like for you with all these headlines coming out since the book's been released?
Well, there's sort of two different aspects to it. On one hand, Ione's been like, she's like been this secret that me and people that love her and know her, of which like really know her, like I think you could have counted on like one hand, like the people that you've allowed in a way that saw all aspects of you. And so for me and for those friends, it's been like this joy of just going, like it's almost like your favorite restaurant, like getting discovered and just being like, yeah, let's all eat this delicious food. So that just very like proud, you know, like really proud, because I'm like, this is like this amazing, she has so much to offer. And it's almost like, I think when you're a naturally shy person, I think like Ione is, you can end up being almost a little like greedy with your brilliance, where you're like, I'm not greedy, like what do you call it, like withholding or like keeping it to yourself. And I'm like gatekeeping your own greatness.
And you've already known, there's nothing in there you didn't know, and he's sort of like my therapist too. So you're very good at like, even how I like had a hard time letting go of my ex emotionally. He was always like, knew it wasn't really about, it's about the ex sort of, you know, you miss the person, but it was also like a projection. Like you're very emotionally intelligent, and so there's nothing in there that I think could like hurt you, because you know me and you've known me for so long, and you even knew him, and so it's like it's like we are so close and we talk about our lives together, and so
and there's also a very weird type of misogyny that comes into the way people assume men are meant to feel about their partner's sexual or romantic histories. Yeah. That, I don't know, like when I met Ione, she was this very like sexually empowered, independent, dynamic woman, and that's what I fell in love with. So I wasn't under the illusions that like I was marrying a virgin or something. I don't know what people like are thinking about, but it's like I loved that you were in your life and in your body and in your adventures and in your heart. And I don't know, I always loved that about you. So I always found it's strange when some people, I guess quite insecure men,
of course,
sort of feel like, oh, how would you feel about, I was like, what do you mean?
It's
very old fashioned.
I mean, and also it's fair, like if that's how you are, but then we wouldn't have stayed together for
exactly.
long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's awesome, man. So tell us about the podcast, guys. Like, how did that obviously?
Well, it's been 5 years now and running.
Yeah, we started it like, I think actually like maybe 4.5. We started at the beginning of 21. It's something that we'd sort of been playing with, are we going to do for a while. I had a podcast back before Apple Podcasts existed. Before Mark Maron, before I was really early on I was too early.
I was too
early, and I stopped too early. I should have kept going it. I could have had that Mark Maron money, but no. But it was just like a fun thing I put up through my website, and had an RSS feed, and you could go download it through the website. So I've always loved the medium. We both love podcasts. It's a huge part of the culture that we consume. So I don't know, for us, it's been collaboration in general has been a process that we've leaned into gradually. Like as much as we're both super creative people, I think learning how to collaborate and build things together has been very gradual. And it's been over the years, like short films and projects and parties.
I've directed like some music videos because I've directed a little bit, so I would direct a couple music videos, but very sporadically. So this was kind of the first thing we would of course support each other's projects just as, you know, whatever. But this is the first like we've really done like, you know, like.
Well, this we like formalized it in terms of we are making a thing long term together. And I think that was like, I'm kind of glad we waited, because even just in terms of like learning how to speak to each other when you're dealing with sensitive things like performance and creativity, I mean, we still, you know, are learning about that. I just got told off in the car for being a little bit harsh about something the way I was.
Well, before a podcast, I'm like, just like be nice before. Like he is always basically nice, but like.
No, but I was like snippy about something.
And like
do something
we
together.
have to do a podcast together. Like just say nice.
But it takes time to learn how to do stuff together. And now, by the time we started the pod and the company, like I feel like we really learned how to be creative and business partners too.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's such a funny thing doing it, because it's I don't know if it changes or what, but the phases of it are so interesting, and it's just a fascinating thing to do with somebody else, and you know, just
for sure
studying, you know, studying it and just letting it happen, and
Yeah. Well, I love that. So we do something on our podcast which is called High, Low, Castano. So your high of the week, your low of the week. Castano is something strange, funny, weird that happened to you throughout the week.
Okay.
So who wants to go first? And you can start with your high, low, or whatever.
Or your Castano.
Yes, or your Castano. Because you're Castanos now?
yeah.
What's the height of the week? Well, I have a height from like last night, because Ione's mum and stepdad just got into town, which has been really great. They're here for 3 months.
From where?
From LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we have like, the house has been full of like the grandparents and the kids, and it's just been like great. And then last night we were like, do you want to go get a martini together? And we just went to our friend's wine bar, and just, we were looking at each other going like, God, this is so nourishing, just us taking time to like connect and talk, and that was like a real high for my week, honestly. Like, I really liked that.
That's cute.
What if Ione was like, my low was going to get that money?
No, my high was sort of, my daughters love to like sing with Ben, because he's a musician, and so he'll pull out the guitar, and it's so nice. So they sing, they both have really lovely voices, but I never really joined in. But last night I sat next to my older kid, and just, they were all playing, what is it?
Rummy
Cube or something. And we sound like the most wholesome family, like playing games and singing.
I mean,
Jono
we're also smoking ice.
Jono will bring a Jenga set everywhere we go.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, he's
So
that person.
good. Yeah. So that was happening, and then I just sang with.
You were singing like T-Rex songs.
Yeah, Kate, my older kid, and I were singing for 45 minutes, and that was something I haven't done, and it felt so good. That was really good.
Oh, that's nice.
My low of the week was just like, there was one day where I had this cold that was like not bad enough to actually allow myself to be sick in bed. It was just so irritating. And it was just this day of just feeling supremely irritated by everything. That was my low of the week.
Yeah, I guess the low is like, I hope it doesn't really go through, but the healthcare being taken away in America.
Well, by the time this comes out,
hopefully that's not passed. That's the political stuff in the States is a low. And something that...
What's your Castano?
Yes. I'm trying to think of once in a while I have a funny like... psychic moment or something. I don't want to call it a psychic moment, but where you think of something. Is that a funny thing? But I can't think of one on the nose.
My Castano of the week was, just Ione says funny things all the time that make me laugh. And I was just remembering one today. She said, you and Kate were talking about how women used to have... they used to have like nervous disorders and hysteria, like before women's health and psychology was understood. And Ione just went... Those women be getting nervous. I'm still giggling about that. I love that because it's true. It's true. But you also sounded like a macho alien or something like that. I was like,
macho alien.
Women be getting nervous.
Oh, I can't think of one.
I know, that is the hardest one.
It is
Yeah.
hard.
There's so many
You
funny
walk out
little
of here and you'd be
things.
like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
I
you'd be like,
know. I wish I had prepared before.
no, that's okay.
Yeah, a funny thing, like a. Yeah, I can't think of one yet, but I'll get back.
Well, you were a part of Ben, so it's,
Yes.
it's a together thing.
Exactly. That
Yeah,
funny
team
thing.
Women be
I
getting
said.
nervous.
Yeah,
There
that's
you go.
it.
Yeah.
That's
like
it.
right now.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on our podcast.
Thanks for
No,
having
thanks
us.
for having us. It's
This
like
is
great.
great.
It's great to see such a positive relationship as
I
well. You
know.
know, so inspiring for me. Obviously, failed with obviously Amy, and I do feel like it's a failure. And to
No,
see
it's
you,
not a failure.
To see you both, it's just like
It's not too late, guys.
No.
I actually get the feeling.
No, but you know what I mean.
We've
It's so
changed-
good.
we've
Let's
changed
give
our
it another
dynamic.
shot.
No.
Seriously, come on. You guys
I
can
don't
do
like
it.
this awkward.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch this. I'm gonna pitch this.
No.
Give it 12 more months.
No.
I think
We're both.
We're
No,
both
but
happily in other
they can
relationships.
pair up. They can pair up. Take care of each other.
This is Ben loves
But
making
it's,
things.
it's so
Teasing.
inspiring.
He loves teasing. Oh,
thank
great.
you.
Well, you're
You know,
inspiring
no,
to
you know.
segue and work into this relationship. Because
Yeah.
I have a modern family with my ex, who's my older kid's father,
Mm-hmm.
and people were always like, wow, like it's so cool that you guys can be so
Mm-hmm.
friendly and not have to like fight. And it's like, it shouldn't be that unusual, but it's nice to see examples of people who can like work into another form of a relationship.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to ask you about two creatives. You're both in the creative space, raising two young girls in this world that we live in today.
Yeah, I think a lot. Like we just want to communicate a lot. Like Ben is a little younger, so even just all the kind of online world, I'm a little bit of an old head, and so because I don't understand everything they're being exposed to, for example, and I don't think you can like say you can't look at anything because I think they're going to look anyway. I just think communication is really important, and just like really just discussing like how are you feeling and what are you taking in as far as that stuff, because a lot of parents are very nervous about all that kind of thing. So I think communication and all the about dating and just being very just going for what's like the healthiest and best way for them to take care of themselves. And I think even my generation, there was a little less communication, but my mom was pretty good. That was a good example. She was all about just like, how are you going to be, healthy? Not that it always, I was a bit of a wild child, but yeah, I think communication. And as far as the creative stuff, at the end of the day, we are just like parents who we catastrophize a little too much, and we're probably too permissive in some ways and too anxious in other ways. But
Yeah, I think with both the kids, we've both been really aware of not being hypocritical because we've followed our passions, and it would just not hold any credibility for us to be like, you have to stay on the straight and narrow and do this the way. It just doesn't mean anything. If we'd done that, then you could say it, but you can't.
But that's where the rub comes, because we try. Like
Yeah.
I want them to kind of, it would be more convenient if they sort of followed the rules and loved like school every day.
It would be more convenient
But
for us too, but
that's
it's like
no,
we
I'm
couldn't do
saying
it.
it'd be more
Yeah,
convenient
yeah.
for me. So that is hypocritical, because I'm like, no, just follow all these rules. And then they see us kind of like making our life work the way we want it to work.
Yeah.
But you're a kid, you
Google
have
you
to.
and be like,
Yeah.
you didn't do that.
Yeah, they have grown up with the belief that you can somewhat bend reality to your will with creativity. They have grown up with that idea, and that is a beautiful thing that many people have to go on retreats and do the artist's way and morning pages or something to get to a place. And they've grown up with that, and I'm very proud of that. But
It makes parenting hard.
it makes parenting hard,
Yeah.
and in some ways, the grounded, more responsibility stuff, being reliable, that stuff's been a little harder, actually. That's
Yeah.
more there.
We get a lot of judgment from the grandmothers who are like,
Just make her.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
you
that's
make
how many
her.
times we've heard that.
I've called my mother, like, come over now and you make her. And she like comes over and she's like, oh, that I can't. And I'm like, see?
I tap out.
Yeah.
I guess it would be like you saying to Gia, because
Yeah.
Jono has a daughter,
Yeah.
no tattoos.
True.
And you're like,
She's like-
cover.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I have done that. I have some, and my older one has and I've been like, oh, every time. But then I see it, and I'm like, because she's 23, I'm like, that actually looks good. But at first, as a parent, you're just the visceral. Even if you like them, I mean, I don't have that many, but I like them in general, I guess.
Children.
Then it's your child. When it's
Children
your
or tattoos?
child.
Yeah.
When it's your kid, you're just like, not the baby.
I know.
But it all works out. But yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
great.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Sade.
Okay, thanks so much, guys. It was fun.